Welcome to another tutorial of Proflan YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to have a discussion on the most important areas that you have to prepare as far as non-calculator paper is concerned. So our focus and our main goal will be going through this paper of March 2025 paper 2, so that you can be able to see how do you best solve non-calculator paper and how do you go about it whenever you are given a question from a non-calculator paper. So if you are new to Proflan YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that in time we're going to work more tutorials, you'll be notified. So in this particular tutorial, we are focusing on the area that were tested the 2025, and you can see in the first question, candidates were told, or candidates were expected to work out the cost of 9 kg of the oranges, but we are told that the orange cost 220 rupees per kilogram. So if 1 kilogram costs 220 rupees, what about 9 kilograms? So you can see in such kind of a question, what is expected of a candidate is to cross multiply here, right? So this candidate was supposed to cross multiply, and this was supposed to be 9 times 220 over 1. And if you take multiplication of 9 times 220, you can be able to get your answer as 1980 as the answer for that particular case. So we need to move to question number 2. We are told that Aryan goes on a journey. He leaves home at 11:40. So the examiner was testing how you can be able to find time taken. Now remember, for you to calculate time taken for a journey, it means that you need to take the arrival time minus the departure time. So in that case, we are having arrival time is 14:8. That is 14:18, right? Minus 11:40. So that way, I would like to bring to your attention that whenever you are doing this kind of question, the most important thing is to check if are you having enough minutes to subtract. For instance, here we are having 18 minus 40. There's no way you can subtract that unless you borrow 1 hour from the hour column. So meaning that we are going to have 18 plus 60 minutes, which is going to be equivalent to 78. Since you have borrowed 1 hour, you are going to remain with 13 hours minus 11 hours, 78 minus 40. And if you subtract here, you are going to get 2 hours and 38. The time taken is 2 hours and 38. So remember, whenever you are borrowing time, if you borrow 1 hour, that is equivalent to 60 minutes for you to be able to perform such kind of question. Then we are told that a quadrilateral has one line of symmetry. The diagonals of the quadrilateral cross at right angles. Write down the mathematical name of this quadrilateral. So you need to remember here the type of quadrilateral that has that is basically a kite. So that's going to be a kite. Here we borrowed. So let's move to the next question. And this is a kite, so you can be able to draw that, and basically that's the line of symmetry, and the diagonals are going to meet at 90 degrees. The diagonals meet at 90 degrees, which is basically shown here. So you can see here the two diagonals are meeting at 90 degrees. All right, so we're moving to question number 4. Question number 4 is talking about substitution. You can see we are given that V is equals to 4mp squared. Find V when m is 10 and p is -3. So in this question, the most important thing is doing correct substitution. So we are going to take 4 times 10 times negative 3 squared. But remember, when you square a number, you're gonna get, and when you square a negative number, you're going to get a positive value. When you square a negative number, you shall get a positive value, and that's why you can see here we are having negative 3 squared, which becomes 9. So 40 times 9 is going to be 360, and that is exactly sorry, that is exactly what we are going to get here. Find the positive value of p. Now from here we can be able to make p the subject of the formula. Rearranging this formula, we can be able to have our expression as p is equals to root v over 4m. Then we are going to substitute v is 3200 over 4 times 2. So if you cancel out this one, if you cancel out, 4 goes to 3200, 800 times, divide by 2, that is 400, and then the square root of 400 is basically 20, and you are supposed to get that value. Moving to the next question, here we are told that all right, moving question 5. Question 5, we are told that write this length in order of size, starting with the smallest. So anytime you're going to be given different measurements, for you to compare them, what you're going to focus on is converting them to the same unit. Once you have converted them to the same unit, you will be in position of comparing. You can do a comparative analysis. You see which one is bigger than the other. So in this case here, we were given different measurements of length: meters, centimeters, millimeters, and kilometers. So you are supposed to tell which one is the smallest. So to do that, I decided to convert each of them to millimeters. And remember, 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. I converted 2.9 to centimeters by multiplying by 10, because 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. I also converted kilometers to millimeters, because 1 kilometer is 1 million millimeters. So I multiplied all through by those multipliers so that I could be able to get what the answer should be. And the first one here, we got 30. This is 30 millimeters. This is 29 millimeters. This is 32. No conversion there. And this is going to be 20 millimeters. Then you can see now the smallest is the one that is in kilometers. And then this is going to be 0.0002. Yeah, this is kilometers, followed by 20, that is 2.9 centimeters, followed by 30 millimeters, which is 0.03 meters, and lastly the largest was 32 millimeters. 32 millimeters was the largest in this case. So what you need to remember here, anytime you're going to be given such kind of questions of rearranging, ensure that you convert to the same units. Maybe also you are going to be given to arrange fractions, decimals, and the percentages. Ensure that they are in the same format so that you can be able to do a comparison, and arrange them either in ascending order. Ascending order is from the smallest to the largest, and the descending order is from the largest to the smallest. So you need to take that into consideration anytime you're given such a question. Let's move to areas where you may be given, or you may be told to work out area of compound shapes. Under compound shapes, something that should come to your mind, just try to figure out what standard shapes form that compound shape, so that you can be able to find the area of each of them. But since this was a trapezium, you need to remember that area of a trapezium is a half a plus b, where a plus b are the two sides which are parallel, this one, and the height is going to be 8 in that case. Then which means that if we substitute what we have here on the diagram, you can see this is a half into 15 plus 9 times 8, and then if we add 15 plus 9 is going to give us 24. So it will be a half times 24 times 8, but 2 can divide 24, isn't it? Yes, so that is going to be 12 here, and then if you multiply 12 times 8 is going to give us 96 centimeters square. Another candidate decided to use a different method in order to find the area of that shape. That candidate decided to find the area of individual shapes that makes up that particular trapezium. So the first shape was a triangle and followed by a rectangle. So area of a rectangle is length times width, which is going to be 9 times 8. But the base of this triangle is 6 times the height, which is 8. So if you work it out, that's going to translate to 24. So once you have this particular two areas, then we are going to add a plus b so that we can be able to get what the total area of that particular shape is. So the moment you are given questions like this, try to figure out what's the best formula, what's the easiest formula you can be able to use. But if you cannot be able to find the formula for the compound shape, try to work out the area of individual shapes that makes that particular solid. Moving further to the next question, here we are told that, okay, let's move to the next part of the question so that we can be able to see which other question was tested. And here candidates were tested on how to identify or how to label a number line when you are given a diagram. So a representation of that, a candidate was supposed to remember only one thing, that whenever it's shaded, you have to put equality in the inequality sign. So let's see what that means. Write down the inequality for x represented on the number line. So in this case here, you can see our number line is x here, so we shall have x at that point. So if it was y, you write y there. Then we can be able now to say this is going to be what? Greater than -3, less than, but since it's shaded, we are going to put the equality part because this part is shaded. So we can say is less than or equals to 4. And we need to transfer that information here to make the examiner happy at that point. Moving to part 8 is the question about probability. What was the most important thing candidates were to remember in this question? Probability add up to 1. Add up to 1. If you add all the probability, they add up to 1. So which means that if you add 0.3 plus 0.25 plus the probability for the draw, then that must be equals to 1. So for you to find the probability for the draw, then first we need to find the sum of the provided values. Then to find the draw, we shall subtract that from 1, and that is going to translate to what? That's going to translate to, yeah, so we are going to subtract like this. So we can borrow 1, then that is going to be 1 here. So that is going to be 100. So meaning that 100 minus 55. What is it going to be? So this is going to be 0.45 as the probability for the draw, 0.45. Work out the probability. Sorry, we are told that Priyanka plays this game 120 times. And work out the expected number of games that she's going to win. So here we are going to use the probability of winning. The probability of winning is 0.3 of all the outcomes that are available. So if this person is going to play 120 times, in order for us to find the number of games that she's going to win, it will be the probability of winning, which is 0.3, and we can write this as this can be written as 3 over 10. So it will be the probability of winning times the number of games the person has played. Then that's going to be 3 over 10 times 120, and you can see 0 cancels here. Then we shall have 12 times 3, that is 36 games. She's going to win 36 games. She's going to win 36 games. Now, moving to question number 9. In question number 9, we are told that by writing each number correct to one significant figure, work out the estimate for D. And for us to write this to 1SF, we are going to say 1.95 is 2. Correct to one significant figure is 2. Then 9.92 correct to one significant figure, that is actually 10. 8.07 correct to 1SF is going to be 8. Then if you multiply this, you are going to get 2 times 100 divided by 8. Then we need to simplify, and upon simplifying this, we are going to have our answer as 5, and that becomes our final answer, which is square root of 25, which becomes 5. And we shall leave our answer like that as we proceed to the next question. Question number 10 is about polygons, and what I would like to bring your attention is that number of sides in a polygon will be 360 divided by the exterior angle. And using the information provided here, we are told that 3 regular polygons, A, B, and C, meet at a point. So if they are going to meet at a point, it means that they are going to form, at that point where this meeting, they are going to form 360 degrees. The point where they are meeting to be 360 degrees. Now we are told that the interior angles of the polygons are in that particular ratio. Interior angle of the polygons are in that particular ratio. So which means that if you add all those interior angles, they are going to give you 360 degrees. But they are in which ratio? 3:4:5. Now, once you have identified that, then we can be able now to find what is the total ratio. The total ratio here is going to be 12, because we can say 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is going to be 12. Then we can be able to find what is the size of the interior angle for A, what is the size of the interior angle for B, and what is the size of the interior angle for C. So, but our focus will be on C and B, because we are told that show that the polygon C has twice the number of sides of polygon B. So how do you go about it? First, we are going to find the size of interior angle of C and interior angle for B. Once you have the size of interior angle, you can basically go ahead and work the exterior angle, because usually interior angle plus exterior angle of a polygon add up to 180, because they form a straight line. Exterior and interior angle of a polygon, they form a straight line. So first, let's work out the size of the interior angle of this particular polygon that we are having here. And in this case, interior angle will be the fraction for B, which is going to be 4/12, divide by 360, because we said angle at a point add up to 360. All those polygons, they add up to 360 because they are meeting at a point. Then if you work it out, that is going to translate to 4 ones goes here 3 times, 3 ones goes here 120 times. So this is 120. Interior angle for for C rather, it will be 5 over 12 times 360. Okay, so this is going to be 12 goes to 36 how many times? So if you work it out, it will be 150. Then now we have the interior angles. We can work out exterior angle because exterior angle is basically 180 minus interior angle. So that means if you have this as the interior angle of a polygon and this as the exterior angle of a polygon, you can see they'll form a straight line where the interior and the exterior angle are meeting. Then we can now go ahead and find the exterior angle for C, which is going to be 30 degrees, and for B it will be 180 minus 120, which is going to translate to 60 degrees. Now we have these values. We need to go ahead and work out the number of sides for each of them. For number of sides for C is going to be 360 divided by the exterior angle for C, which is 30, which is going to be 12. But for B is going to be 360 divided by 60 because the exterior angle was 60. So if you work it out, you are going to get that. So once you have gotten this, what else do we do? What else are we going to do here? Is to simplify, and we have 6 sides and 12 sides. Hence you can see that number of sides for N is 2 times that of number of sides for C is 2 times that of B, and that is exactly what we were supposed to show in this particular question. We are moving to question number 11. Question 11 was talking about compound bar chart, or we can also call it a composite bar chart, which means that we need to understand what is happening here. It's talking about percentage of cells. Remember, total cells will be 100%. So, and let me understand the scale used here. From 0 to 10 we have 5 boxes, so one box represents 2%. Yeah, January, February, March and April. So okay, so you need to understand there. In April, 17 over 20 of the company sales were on website. So remember, nowadays shops or business have decided to go face-to-face and online platforms. So they may decide to sell in the shop, at the same time they have their website where they sell their commodities. So we are told that in April, 17 over 20 of the company sales were on the website. On the grid, draw the bar for April. So remember, we need to find the percentage. So it will be 17 over 20 times 100, and that is going to translate to 85%. But also we need to know, this is for website, but for shop, the sales for the shop is going to be 100 minus 85, which is going to translate to 15. But before that, we need to okay, so we need to understand what's happening here. Let me just color code this so that it can be able to be visible to see, because whatever that is sold in the shop is the one that is above this one, and this is what's sold in the shop, and this one what's the percentage sold in the shop, and the below one that is a bit gray white is going to be what is sold in the website, and the key is provided there. Now let's look at how we are going to draw the other one. So this is all right, so let me just change the color here so that I can have some white, and then we can read. Yeah, so the bar chart will go this one shop will be 100 minus 85. I had not written that. and that's going to be 15%. So we are going to draw for the website 85, for the shop we draw 15%. So we are going to go here, we move up all the way to 85%. That's 85, and this one is 85. So for the shop, okay, let me just turn that and a copy. Okay, and the remaining 15 is for the shop. So that's how you are supposed to draw whenever you are given a question like that. And if you're getting value from Prof Learn YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime I'm going to upload further tutorials, you'll be notified. In Prof Learn YouTube channel, I usually do maths and physics, and also you can check different predictions I've done for 2026 in the link in the description, so that you can be able to follow through. So if you are new here, consider subscribing so that anytime I'm going to upload more tutorials, you'll be notified. Let's dive in, let's continue and look at what you are supposed to answer in the next questions. Here, in February, the company had 3.5 million sales. Work out the value of sales in the shop in February. Okay. In February, the company had 3.5 million. Work out the value of sales in the shop. So we can say that 3.5 million is actually 100%. What about the shop? You go and check in February. What was the sales in the shop? Okay, for February, just read it from the tape there. You'll realize that okay, so that is going to be what? Let me just move to this next part here so that we can be able to read it properly. Yeah, so let's try to read it from the table here. So you can be able to see here that I need to correct this. It's not supposed to be here. That's you can see here in February, this reading here is 60, and this is representing what is on the website, 60. Then for the shop, it's actually 40%. So meaning that we can now go here and say 100% is equals to 3.5 million. What about 40% that was sold in the shop? So if you work it out, you are going to get your final answer being equivalent to 1.4 million. So that is exactly what you are supposed to do there. And then we are told in May, the company had sales of 6 million. In June, the company had sales of 7.5 million. Find the percentage increase. Remember, percentage increase is going to be equals to increase over original times 100. So the initial was 6 million, but it was increased to 7.5. So 7.5 minus 6 over 6 million times 100, that is going to translate to 25%. Remember, for you to solve this, you are going to cancel 1 0 for this decimal point here. Then you have 15 times 10 over 6. Then you can simplify and then have it easy for you to work out. In 2024, the company had a total sales of 52 million. This was an increase of 30% on total sales for 2023. So meaning that 52 million was equivalent to 130%. 52 million was after the increase of 30%. So that's why we are saying is going to be 100 plus 30, that's going to be 130%. So 52 million is 130. What about 100% for 2023? If you work it out, you are going to cancel here, and 13 goes to 52 4 times, and 4 times 10 is going to be, goes here once, goes here 4 times. 4 times 10 is going to be 40, and that's why we have our answer that way. So let's dive in to the next question. In this particular question here, we are told write as a single fraction in simplest form. So for you to write it as a fraction in simplest form, what you need to do first is to find the LCM. The LCM of 4, 8, and 12, and the LCM for 8 and 12 is basically going to be 24. The LCM is going to be 24. So meaning that if you multiply 4 times 2 times 3 is going to be 24 here. And we are going to express it as a single denominator, which means that this is going to be 4. What number do you multiply by 4 to get 24? 6. 6 times x will give us 6x here. Here we'll have 9, and then we shall have 2 into bracket 2 plus 2. So we shall open the bracket and put the like terms together. Whatever we have there, we shall put the like terms together, and that is going to translate to 6x plus 9x is going to be 15x minus 2x is going to be 13x there, and then minus 4 over 24. So basically that is what we shall have as our final answer in that case. Factorization, we are going to write 3x into that, but for the second part we are going to factor y out. So factoring y out, we are going to remain with a into bracket a plus 4y, and you can see now these two parts here are basically the same, so we can factor out a plus 4y, and then we shall remain with that, and that becomes our final answer. And basically that is exactly what we shall have. Question number 13 is the question about volume of a cylinder, volume of a sphere. So as far as this exam is concerned, you will be asked a question to do with volume. You can either be asked cylinder, sphere, a cone, or even a prism. So you need to be in a position of answering any question asked by that, and you can be able to check the link in the description that is taking you straight to where I've given a prediction of this paper of 2026. Okay, so moving to that, we need to say volume of the sphere is equal to the volume of the cylinder. So volume of the sphere is equal to volume of the cylinder, whereby we shall say 4 over 3 pi r cubed is equals to pi r squared times the height, which is 16. So we shall simplify what we have here so that we can be able to get what our answer should be. This is going to be 36 pi and 16 pi r squared. But if you cancel pi and pi, here we shall cancel pi and pi, and then we shall have r squared. R squared is equals to that. Finding the square root both sides, we get our final answer being 3 over 2, which we can as well write it as 1.5. We need to look at circle theorem also. Under circle theorem, you need to remember different properties of angles in a circle. Here we have this particular angle here, which is in alternate segment to this. So this is angle is 45 as well. If this, that's 45. Then also we have this particular angle, which is 110. If you look at 110, is opposite to angle BCD, which is a cyclic quadrilateral. So this angle is 70. So that 70 plus 110 gives us 180, because opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180. So angle BCD is 70 plus 110, which is angle A. That's going to give us 180. Next, we also have this particular angle is in alternate segment. Sorry, not alternate segment. Angle 4570 and this other angle C, DCG, they form a straight line. So we can say that is going to be 180 minus 70 plus 45, which is going to translate to 65. So if we subtract here, we're going to get 65. So this angle is 65. And don't forget that we can also say that this is 70. Then the reason is the property you used. So we're going to say this is going to be opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180. That is how we had gotten that particular value for that 70 there. Moving to the next question, angle DBC, that was 65. DBC, that was 65. This angle is also 65 because angles in alternate segment is alternating to this angle here, is alternating to that. Yeah, so let me just show you so that you can be able to see why am I saying that. Let me just show you that angle so that you can be able to see why am I saying that. Just take you so that you can be able to see why am I saying that. So if you look at this particular angle that we are having here, this angle here is formed by this chord. Yeah. So this angle is originating from this chord here. See this one here, this chord, and this chord is meeting with a tangent. So this is an angle, right, of 65. But the same chord is forming this angle here. You see that? So such kind of angles, this angle is in alternate segment with this angle. So such kind of angles are usually what? Equal. Similarly, this angle here is being formed by this chord which meets with the tangent. So if this angle here, this chord here is forming another angle somewhere here, this angle here is also going to be what? This angle here is also going to be 45. That's why you can see this angle is 45 also, because also this D and E are angles subtended by the same chord. That's why we are saying all that. So let's now move to the next part of this question, this 65, and angles in alternate segments are equal. Okay, so we're moving to that one. Is DCG is 65 as well. The next concept is about vectors. So for vectors, we are told that point A has coordinate -4, 1. BA is -5, -12. Find the coordinates of point B. And remember, BA is a position vector. Okay? So if you are given a question like this and you are supposed to find the coordinate, but something that I need to remind you first. So just a minute so that we can be able to proceed. I want to annotate. So once I'm writing, you can be able to see it better. You can be able to understand it better. Okay, we are almost there, so that I can be able to show you what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so anytime you're working out a question on vectors, look at this. You are given the position vector BA. For you to find what this coordinate of B is, you will take the coordinate of A minus the coordinate of B. Anytime you are doing such kind of question, always take the coordinate of the last one, subtract the starting point, which is going to be minus 1 over 4, minus 4, 1, minus xy. We said let B be xy, then should be equal to the position vector that is given there. So if you work it out in terms of the x components and the y components, you're going to get x is 1 and the y is going to be 13. Point C has coordinate 5 minus 2. Then find vector CA. So you're going to take the coordinates of A minus the coordinate of C, the way I've just told you. So it will be coordinate of A is basically this one here, minus 4, 1. Then it will be minus 4, 1 in column form, minus 5, negative 2. And if you work it out, you're going to get minus 4 minus 5 will be minus 9. And 1 minus 2 is going to be 3 as shown there. Then further we have also EF is 3BA, but we know BA is minus 5 minus 12 times 3. We can be able to get negative 15, negative 36. So if you work out the magnitude, you get the square root of 5, 15, 21. For you to find that, square root of 15, 21 is 39. Another way you could have done it is by finding the magnitude of BA first. You find the magnitude of BA, then you multiply by 3. It will give you the same answer. That's the way I've just worked it out here. Magnitude of BA first times 3 will still give you the same answer, which is 39. All right, so that means we need to move to the next bit. And here is just trying to show you that you can be able to find it in an easier way dealing with small numbers. So it will be 3 times the magnitude of BA, and that's going to be 25 plus 144. That is going to be 169. And square root of 169 will be 13. So 13 times 3 still to give us 39. And that's all you are supposed to do. In question number 16, in the stem and leaf, the stem is 3, 4, 5. The leaves are 1, 2, 8 there, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the leaves, but the stem are those vertical ones. That's 3, 4, and 5. then we are supposed to work out the interquartile range. Now, for you to find the interquartile range, first you must find what is the upper quartile and what is the lower quartile. And in the process of finding the upper quartile and the lower quartile, you have to arrange those numbers in ascending order or in descending order. Then you identify what the median is, and you can see here we are remaining with two numbers in the middle, and here we have two numbers there. So which means that we can be able to find the average of the numbers to get what the lower quartile is and what the upper quartile is. Which means that we can identify this as the upper quartile, and we can identify this as the lower quartile. So once you have that, interquartile range is going to be upper quartile minus the lower quartile, which is going to be equals to 51.5 minus 39, which is going to be 12.5 as the interquartile range. So always you need to remember how to work out such kind of questions. So something also I need to mention regarding this particular question is that you may be told to find the range. You may be told to find the range in this kind of question. So the range, remember, range is largest minus smallest. So if you are told to find the range, you need to identify what is the largest number and what's the smallest number. So in this case, the largest number is going to be 54. 54. So that is 54 minus smallest number is going to be 31. So if you were to work out that, you are going to say this is going to be what? 54 minus 31, that's going to be 23. Going to be 23. And at the same time, you may be asked to state the mode. You can see now, here we have 3 appearing here, 3 appearing here, twice. So which means that 43 is going to appear twice. Okay, so the mode is 43. This is going to be our mode. So that is how you work out a question like that. But if you are asked to find the mean, you add everything that we have here divided by 13, because there are 13 packets. So meaning that you can be asked question to do with mode, you can be asked question to do with range, interquartile range. That's how you are going to work out such kind of questions. Looking at part B, 2 of these packets are chosen at random. Find the probability that one packet has mass more than 50 and the other packet has mass less than 50 grams. So if you look at those that have more than 50, will be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 packets, which you can as well come and count from here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 packets that has more than 50. Less than 50 are these ones here, which are 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. 9 of them. So probability of picking more than 50, it will be 4 over 13. Now after picking more than 50, the next pick should be pick for less than 50, so it will be 9 over 12, because already you have picked the larger one. So meaning that you'll have the packet remaining is 12 instead of 13. So 4 over 13 probability for picking a packet which is more than 50 grams. Now the second pick will be 9, because we have 9 packets. 9 packets which are less than 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But how many packets remaining? 12. Now these 2 that we are having here is because in the process of you picking, you can pick either 4 over 13, then that is the larger one, 9 over 12. You'll get the answer. Again, another way you could have picked, it's 9 over 13 times, now there's larger one of over 12. So if you work out these two, because there's no order in which you are going to do your picking, then it means that you have two options to do that, and this one, they have equal probabilities. Then you are going to multiply by 2, and that is why you can see I got my answer like that. So that is 6 over 13 as the probability. In question number 17, candidates were supposed to add this. They were given a fraction and a recurring decimal. And remember that when you have this dot at the top, it means that this number 8 is the one that is recurring. So you can be able to write it as 0.28888 recurring like that. Now we can say let that that decimal you're given to be x, so that we can be able to convert it to a fraction. X is equal to 0.28, and then 10x, you will shift the decimal forward, so it will be 2.88. 100x, you are going to shift the decimal 2 steps, you will have 28.88. So you can see this one and this one, if you subtract these two, you will have 0 after the decimal, and that is our main goal, and that's our target. Then if you subtract 100 minus 10x, is going to give you 90. 28.88 minus 2.88, you're going to give 26. Then you can divide by 90, divide by 90 here, and if you simplify, your answer is going to translate to what? It's going to translate to 13 over 45. But remember, this is now the fraction we have gotten here, so we can say 9 over 5 plus 13 over 45. So meaning that we need to add these two fractions. At that given point, you need to remember that we need to express them as a single fraction, a common denominator. We can multiply 9 times 5 to get 45, so that we have 25 over 45, and you add that, our answer will be 38 over 45 as our final answer in that case. In question number 18, candidates were supposed to find the value of DC. And in order to show that, this is what I did. I used SOHCAHTOA to show that DC is 10 centimeters. I used SOHCAHTOA, and since first I had to find what AB is, and AB is going to be, I'll use the angle provided here and the hypotenuse. So I'll say cos theta cos 60 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and then x becomes 18 times cos 60. So what does that mean? It means that we need to know what's the value of cos 60. Anytime you are dealing with question with angles like 60, 30, 45, those are special angles. You can be able to know their trigonometric ratios without having a calculator. So when you are talking of 60 and 30, if you are talking of 60 and 30, you are going to use a triangle, an equilateral triangle of all sides 2 centimeters. So if you subdivide this, it's going to be 1, 1, and this is 2, then the height here is going to be √3, because 2 squared minus 1 squared is going to be √3. Then you can be able to use now that to find what it is cos 60. Cos 60 is opposite, sorry, adjacent of hypotenuse, so which means that it's going to be a half. Cos 60 is a half, and if you multiply here, you are going to get 9. But for you to find BC, so if this is 9, it means 17 minus 9 will give us this other measurement that is remaining here, because the entire length was 17, so this is going to be 8. So 6 squared plus 8 squared is going to be 100, and square root of 100 is going to be 10. And all the steps of working out this question, I've shown them in this particular part. I've just shown you how you can be able to go about this question here. Now, once we have done that, we need to find what EB is. EB is going to be, for you to find EB, you are going to do 18 squared minus 9 squared. So the entire of this length EB is going to be 9 root 3. 18 squared minus 9 squared, then you find the square root is going to be 9 root 3. But we are supposed to find the perimeter of this shape. So perimeter will be 18 plus 17 plus 10, then plus DE. But DE we have to subtract. For us to find DE, we have to subtract what? We have to subtract 6, because EB was 9 root 3, then, and since this section here is 6, then we can be able to say 9 root 3 minus 6. Then we shall add this, plus this, then plus that, for us to get our final answer like that. And our final answer becomes 39 plus 9 root 3. Okay, so it will be 17 plus 18 plus 10, that will be 45. Then I shall subtract 6, and that's going to be 39 plus 9 root 3. Then I need to copy this so that I can be able to transfer it down there, and you can be able to access all the solved part in our Patreon page. So let's dive in. In question number 18, we are told that the Venn diagram, in the Venn diagram, shade the region represented by A union B union C. So remember, A union B union C is the region inside all those circles, A, B, and C. But complement, because in this question, we're supposed to find outside the, it's a complement of A union B union C. So that's going to be this value, then this will be outside region, this region outside here. Yeah, so that is exactly what we are supposed to do. Question number 20 is a question about SADs, and candidates worked out question involving SAD. So we can write 300 as 3 times 100, or 100 times 3. We can be able to write 100 times 3. And 16 times 3 as well. Then we can be able to find the square root of 100 as 10, so we can write root 3 times root 10. That's the same as root 16 times root 3. Then root of 10 is going to be, root of 100 is 10. 10 times root 3 will be 1033. And root 16 is 4 times 3. That's going to give us that. Then we can add now 10 plus 4, that is going to be 14. So this is going to be 14 root 3 as the final answer. Number 20 is conjugate. We are dealing with the conjugate now, rationalizing the denominator. The conjugate of 2 plus root 7 is going to be 2 minus root 7. Multiply it both sides, then multiply the top and bottom. The bottom is going to simplify to be 2 squared minus root 7 squared. anytime you have a conjugate, just take the two numbers, square them, subtract them. That is going to be 2 squared minus root 7 squared. And that is going to translate to 4 minus 7. And that is going to be negative 3 there. So, and that is going to be minus 3 minus 3. If you divide, you're going to get negative 6 and that. Then, okay, we can write it this way, or we can factor out 3. We can factor out 3. And if you factor out 3, this is the expression we shall have at that point. So that's what we shall have at that point there. Yeah, so this is question number 21. Now we are moving to question number 21, whereby we are basically talking about question to do with equations of straight line, midpoint, and perpendicular bisectors. Here, candidates were asked to find them where the line crosses the y-axis. And basically the question is asking the y-intercept. At the y-intercept, x is always equals to 0. So what candidates were supposed to do at that point is to go straight to that equation that is provided and then substitute anywhere there is x, you replace it with 0. Because at the y-axis, x is 0. And this is going to be negative 3. But since it's a coordinate, to be 0, negative 3. A is the point 17 and B is another point 515. Find the equation of the perpendicular bisector. Now, for us to find the equation of the perpendicular bisector, the first thing that we are going to do at that given point is to find the midpoint of the 2 points, and the midpoint is where the perpendicular bisector is going to pass, and the midpoint is going to be the sum average of the x values. So that is going to be 1 plus 5 over 2 and 7 plus 15 over 2, which is going to translate to 3, 11. Next, we need to find the gradient of line AB. And if you started with 15 minus 7, you must also start with 5 minus 1. And that is going to translate to 2. Once you've done that, you are going to use the relation m1 times m2, because two perpendicular lines, the product of their gradient should give you negative 1. So that we can say 2 times m2 should be negative 1, then meaning that m2 is going to be what? M2 is going to be equals to negative 1 over 2. Then for you to find equation of a straight line, I need to give you this formula, which is a bit straightforward and a bit faster. Take y minus y1 m into, times x minus x1, where y1 and x1 are the coordinates where that line is going to pass. And in this case, in our question here, our perpendicular bisector is going to pass through the point 3 and 11. So that is what we're going to call our y1 and x1. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is that if you are finding the equation of a straight line, right, you can be able to use this straightforward method or formula for you to work it out. Yeah. And our x1 and y1 are the points where that line is going to pass. So this is going to be x1, this is y1. So that's why you can see I said y minus 11, which is y1, gradient -1/2 here, x minus 3. Then you see now when you have this, you are not going to start finding the c or the y-intercept. Then you plug it in, you get the equation straight. Then you take 11 on the other side, so that we can have -1/2x plus 3/2 plus 22/2. So why am I having 22/2 here? Is because this is 2, so I need to also have 2 here. So which number will I divide by 2 to get 11? It's 22. So I can say 22/2 is the same as 11, so that I can comfortably add 3 plus 22, and that's going to be 25. 25/2. And that is what you are supposed to do in that particular question. Question number 22 is where candidates were supposed to find the coordinate of the stationary point, and stationary points are obtained by differentiation. Remember, if you are having y is equals to x raised to power n, to differentiate that, it will be dy dx is equals to, you take the power down, it becomes nx, then n minus 1. So like for instance here, you take 3 down, it becomes 3x, 3 minus 1 becomes 2, and 2 comes down, 2 minus 1 become power 1, and there's no need to write that. And differentiating x, you get a constant 1. Then at the stationary point, dy dx is basically equals to 0. And then you can now equate this equation to 0 and try to solve, which is going to factorize to that, meaning that you'll have x is equals to -1, because the other stationary x is equals to 1/3 already was given here. Yeah. So now if you want to find the value of y at x is equals to -1, you can substitute it into the original equation, so that you can be able to find the coordinates of the other stationary point, which is going to be this value that we have at this point. By sketching the graph, of this, determine whether the stationary point is maximum or minimum. So y-intercept will be 0. So if you substitute x into the original, x equals to 0 into the original equation, you will find that y will be 0. So the graph is going to pass through that particular point. Yeah. So basically, so I started by identifying where the line is going to pass on the y-axis. I identified the stationary point, which was -1, 1, the point that we have here. And then the other stationary point is somewhere here, which was 1/3 and -5/27. Then we shall now draw the curve that way. The curve will go that way. The curve will turn like that. And maximum point, minimum point here, because the graph is moving from -0 to positive. So meaning that this is a minimum point, the other one is a maximum point. Yeah, so those are the conditions for minimum. A graph is coming from -0, positive. Yeah. Okay, lastly, we are looking at this last question that was asked. The question this has fewer than 3 solutions. So what should be the possible values of k? So what I'll do here, I'll just come and try to extend this graph will be extending forever that way, and the graph is going to extend forever that way. So if I'm going to have k being within this value, so you realize that if k is here, if k is here, it's going to cut this graph 3 times. It's going to cut here, and also cut here. So this will have 3 solutions. But at this point, this graph is going to cut this point and this point. So those are 2 solutions. So which means that the value of k that's 35 fewer than 3 will be value of k should be greater than 1. K should be greater than or equals to 1. So that you are going to, if with greater than 1, you should go up there like that. Less than or equals to minus, less than or equals to minus 4/27. So as you go downward forever, there will be only one solution. It's because this line that I'm moving here is cutting the graph only once. Here is cutting twice. Here is cutting 3 times, 3 times, 3 times, twice, once, as it proceeds like that. So meaning that the value of k should be less than or equals to minus 5/7 or greater than or equals to 1. And that is exactly what you are supposed to do at that given point. Then the rest of the equation is to simplify. Remember, this power will be multiplied by the power 3/2. Yeah, this is 2 times 3/2, which translates to that. And this one also will be raised to power 3/2, which is going to be 3/2 raised to power 4 is the same as square root. And that means that we can have our expression simplifying to 2 raised to power 3, which is going to be 8. So final solution becomes that. And we can also say that 16 raised to power x can be written as 2 raised to power 4x. A half can be written as 2 raised to power -1. So this is going to be 2 raised to power -x. Then we can be able to equate the powers. You shall add this 4x plus negative this is equals to 2x plus 6. Right. Yeah, because here is 2 raised to power 2, so 2 times x will be 2x times 3, so 3x. Yeah, so that is it. So you shall have your final answer being x equals to 6. So basically that's what you are supposed to do in that particular paper. And if you are new to Prof Learn YouTube channel, consider subscribing so that anytime we are going to upload more tutorials, you'll be notified.